Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. Hello and welcome from Bright Talk at Big Data London. The show is filling up nicely here, even bigger than it was last year. My name is Krug. I'm an architect in the office of the CTO at Couchbase, and I'm very excited to be moderating today's panel. I'll introduce my colleagues in just a moment. Today's session is entitled Real-Time Personalized Customer Interaction at Scale. I'm joined by Alex and Andrea from Paddy and Chris Bridgland from Couchbase. I'll ask each of my panelists to introduce themselves in a moment. I'd also like to give anyone listening live a chance, an opportunity to ask you questions during the session, and I'll do my best to put them to the panel as we go along. So, on to our introductions. If I could ask each of you to just tell the audience a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Objelean. I'm a principal software engineer at Paddy BetFair, working for almost 10 years, or about 10 years in this company. Our office located in from Cluj-Napoca, Romania.
Good, thank you. Andrea.
Hi, morning. Raresh Andrei Rusu. Also working with Paddy BetFair for about 9 years now. I've been involved into building various products for our customers, and lately, together with Alex, we've been setting up this promotional platform that actually serves promotions and delivers this great customer experience to our customers.
Great to have you both with us. Chris?
Hi, my name is Chris Bridgland. So I work for Couchbase. I look after our technical teams across EMEA and APJ. And these are the teams that basically help our customers go through the selection criteria of the technology and also making sure it's implemented and up and running and ticking all the boxes for them.
Great, thank you very much, Chris, and thank you for joining us. All right, let's dive into our session. To kick it off, maybe Alex and Andrea, if you just give our audience a little bit of an overview of what you've built at Paddy BetFair, a little bit of what was it like before, how did you decide that what you wanted to build was going to help, and then what was the experience like afterwards?
So. Our company has several products. So we've initially started with BetFair having Exchange as a core product, and then kept adding sportsbook gaming. So the range of products kept expanding. And what we've seen is actually very difficult to have a coherent proposition for the customer in terms of using all these products. So we were tasked with developing a system that could bring together various products and various systems. So we could assist the customer from registration onto deposits, onto betting activity, and actually provide some value back to them, like free bets, rewards, free spins in the gaming world. And there was no such platform available on the market. Various providers have various platforms, but they are isolated. They are stuck into whatever their area of expertise is. So while building this platform, we've been able to just integrate all these products and services, so that we have a very good and coherent proposition. So the customers can actually feel like the experience is seamless, and it's the same across all our products.
And how has this been successful? How has the business measured that the effort you went through to re-architect this platform was worthwhile and successful?
So we've seen a very enthusiastic adoption of the platform. We now have something like 40,000 promotions already being run through the platform, and from year to year we've kept expanding the range of offers. So now pretty much we can track most of our customers' activity across all our products. So we see this and the business sees this as a great way to actually expand forward into other jurisdictions, expand the range of offers. So most of our new projects are actually somehow connected or have something to do with this platform.
Great, thank you for that. And Alex, you were telling me earlier that you built a bespoke reporting platform off of this. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Yes, well, having this kind of platform which is very flexible, which allows a lot of combinations of promotions, has some challenges, like how to report data, how to make sense of this kind of data we create. And this kind of challenge we solved by creating a component which was responsible for streaming data real time. I provided details like downloading a report containing millions of customers, or for instance downloading all the customers who were blacklisted, whitelisted for given promotions. Also, we used Couchbase for this kind of feature, and it helped a lot in features like streaming, using reactive and asynchronous features from Couchbase. Also, other feature interesting was the ability to aggregate data real time and keeping the latency of the response for this kind of service very low. So it helped a lot, and we are still adding new features on top of this platform, and it works very great for us.
Great, thank you for that. Tell us a little bit about the infrastructure that this is all deployed on. What does your particular environment look like?
So we have a history. We've initially started with some bare metal boxes that that was the first iteration. Well, but for about 4 years or 3 years now, we've migrated that to dual data center infrastructure. So we have clusters that are running on virtualization, so actual VMs that we deploy Couchbase on, and this has served us quite well so far.
And how many Couchbase clusters do you have running in production?
I think there are currently about 4 or maybe more, and we have a mix of applications, and some of them which are business critical using Enterprise Edition, while other which are new services and not so critical. For instance, the reporting I was talking about earlier, using Community Edition, and we are constantly monitoring the way we use this kind of services. So take a decision later if it's appropriate to keep it as a Community Edition or migrate to the Enterprise one.
Understood. Chris, how does that compare to the hundreds of other customers and deployments that you work with?
So I think when we look at our sort of customer install base, a lot of our customers, they cut their teeth by taking the Community Edition, which is our open source version of the product, and obviously, from a production perspective and from a business criticality perspective, we would always recommend customers go onto the enterprise version, which comes with slightly different feature functionality, and also the ability to call on our support teams. And you guys have had to, from time to time, basically sound out and find out what things are happening. And so we find a lot of customers start on that Community Edition route, the open source approach to doing things. Open source with a lot of our customers is also a very big key part for what they're looking at from a new direction, bringing new technologies into organizations. But as I say, we see a nice blend. A lot of customers, when they go business critical, enterprise version becomes a key piece, and that is for you guys as well. Yeah. Your clusters, you've got a mix of the reporting, which are non-business critical, the level of support that kicks in, but equally the enterprise versions, you absolutely need to know that they are up all the time. I think you'll be talking later about your session about there are certain services, they cannot be offline at all. And that's what when we get up to that sort of level, you want to make sure that you got people sat behind you as well. And that's where our support organizations come in, that we've got 24/7 support that sits with enterprise version as well. So, yeah, as I say, we see lots of customers start out with the open source, move to enterprise when they decide and they go into full-blown production. And as I say, have that sort of nice little blend of getting themselves familiar with it. It really is very much a business choice on how people basically go and deploy, but if you want the support, the enterprise version is the one that we always recommend.
Great, thank you. Speaking a little bit more about infrastructure, what is your perspective on containerization, especially for the database and data-intensive applications?
We did explore, and we do explore this route. We haven't, at least in our area, we haven't actually reached production with such containerization strategies, but we do use it so far on our development environments, where we actually set up containers so that every developer and QA and every team can actually run tests and do their own development on their on their premise. So using Couchbase deployed as containers. So, but we're definitely keeping an eye on how to actually integrate or progress with this into our production as well.
And how about public cloud?
Yeah, I think there is some work in progress in assessing the opportunity to use clouds. For instance, some of the future brands we will have to onboard for our platform probably won't be able to use the same way, the same infrastructure. So we probably will have to consider using public cloud, but
yeah. So we see these challenges as we are part of a group now.
Yeah.
Other brands from the group, as Alex is saying, have actually different deployment strategies, and they use different hardware. So some of the brands are actually deploying to public cloud, and we definitely have to accommodate those as well. So it's something that we're currently actually working on.
Any cloud preference?
We've tried both AWS and Google Cloud.
yeah, there was some investigation on the Google and Amazon as well. Yeah.
Okay. Chris, how do you see containerization and the public cloud gaining or losing or changing adoption around the world?
So I think we're seeing, we've got some of our largest customers that have a cloud strategy basically built in. We've got some of our largest organizations getting into the Azure, AWS and Google Cloud platform. We've made it sure that we are present and available both in those platforms and also easily deployable in those platforms. So we've made it very easy with the Kubernetes integration that we've done, the autonomous operator that we rolled out. We're now in our second version of the product, maturing and being adopted by lots of organizations now as a way to go and deploy in the cloud. So I think every customer, I don't think there's any customer that I've spoken to that doesn't have a service that they can that they can't think about moving over to the cloud. There are always going to be certain organizations where some of the crown jewels type applications need to stay in their own data centers, in their own maybe private cloud approach, but being able to then stretch that out into a cloud offering, we're seeing that as a great option. So lots of our customers have primary data centers, a private cloud approach, and then use the public cloud as potentially a route to go and give them sort of business continuity, disaster recovery capabilities as an option. So it's on everybody's wish list. And then what we're trying to do is make sure that customers find it really easy to either find us in the cloud because they're on all the marketplaces, or take their licenses and go and deploy themselves in the cloud really easily by using such things as the autonomous operator for Kubernetes and things. So yeah, big for every single customer, I think. I haven't had one customer, apart from possibly some more sensitive government organizations, that would actually turn around and go, we're not going down that route.
And even that's changing, right? With
and
the
that is
recent
changing.
Jedi contract in the US.
And here in the UK we have G Cloud, and there's levels of G Cloud and levels of, I suppose, sensitivity that come with those now. So I think the cloud providers are adapting themselves to deal with all the different scenarios. So yeah, lots of choice.
Great. Okay, let's come back to the title of this talk, right? It is delivering real-time, personalized customer interaction at scale. So I think the customer interaction part we understand. I go onto Paddy Power BetFair and I click a link, I make a bet, and in this context you're giving me an offer, a promotion, a free bet, a match. The other aspects of that, real time, personalized, and at scale. What do those three mean in your context? And if you had to pick one, which is the hardest to achieve?
I think I could start by discussing about the personalized. So one of the challenge we had is to create to create a content which is suitable for some sort of customer. So some customers see some promotion, other customers are seeing different promotions. Some promotions are created for one jurisdiction, for other promotions are targeting different jurisdiction. So it was very challenging to create this kind of feature because the initial original or the solution we had in the past is that somebody would create a banner and it would be seen by everyone. So how would you hide this kind of promotion from somebody who shouldn't see or is not eligible for this kind of promotion? So creating a content which is targeting a certain customers and only they see the content only if the customers are eligible is something was very hard and challenging to create.
And how many, just on that, how many levels of granularity can you apply? You talked about globally, you talked about regionally. Can you get down to an individual person and give them,
Yes.
you and I are sitting next to each other, different offers?
Besides targeting different persons, we also have some sort of segmentation like this promotion should be available for anyone who placed the bet on arcade, for instance, last 2 minutes or today, or wasn't active on a certain product for a given period of time. So this kind of flexibility we have built in the platform and allows the operator to create content targeting specific kind of customers.
Okay. I'm going to come back to what you just said, but I want to ask you just a little bit more on the operator side. So we talked about the customer, the end user, seeing a different offer depending on where we are in the world, depending on what we've done. What is the operator's experience like? The people or machines sitting in the back end. Is there someone sitting at a desk crafting an offer for Alex and an offer for Perry? How does that work?
You'll see more details in our talk about this, but it's actually resulted in a work shift because the operators, up until we've built this platform, were so busy just delivering content, so putting up content, making sure get this offer live by the 22.01 or something, whatever that game was supposed to start. So right now we've actually automated the delivery and automated things like segmentation and eligibility. And this has actually relieved the operators to actually concentrate on what they're good at. So creating this content. So they do what they're best at. Setting up content, and they don't need to worry about delivering the content and making sure the users see the content at the exact time they should see it, and is restricted to whatever the segmentation was chosen. So it gives our staff and our colleagues a lot more time to just create content, and this supports a lot of this is also scalable because we can operate a lot more jurisdictions and create a lot more offers using the same number of people. So we don't need to hire new people just because we expand into a new jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coming back to something you said earlier, you said you can target an offer based upon our activity, right? If I place a bet here, a couple minutes later, that brings up the question of real time, and what does real time mean in this context for you guys?
Well, first of all, we are using heavily Kafka stream processing for ingesting various streams, so that our platform will be aware about the customer activity. Real time actually means several seconds. So this is kind of latency or the duration customer expects from interaction with our platform. Basically, when they place a bet, they want to see that there is a progress in their promotions. And we have, for instance, in our presentation, we talk about a specific promotion which we are targeting for horse racing festivals, which are quite popular. When thousands of customers are placing a bet, and as soon as the race ends, they expect to get a free bet. Mm-hmm. And the same expectation have other thousands of customers. So this kind of problem creates a problem of scale and creates a problem of real time. They have expectation to get the free bet as soon as possible, so that they can place the bet on the next racing, which starts shortly after this one ends. So real time is very important in our case, because events are very, very close one to another, and customers have this expectation of seeing things as soon as they click something.
Yeah. You brought up the idea of expectation. I think that's something that we feel a lot more. Chris, how do you see the expectation economy driving changes in industries and services all over the place?
So when you say the sort of expectation piece, it's being able to get access to that information rapidly is one of the key things, and then being able to look at it in different ways rapidly is also a key challenge. And we were talking about some of the things that are going on. For example, you can either do the betting, because I'm going to have a William Hill or somebody else as well getting involved in these sorts of betting and putting their promotions on your site so that people can get involved. But equally, you're going to have the situations where you've got the communities of people wanting to just bet against each other, which is also a new piece, which is now that's a very different sort of gambling mode. It's all like going with your friends around a pub table and going, I bet you can't drink that beer in 5 seconds, and you go, oh yeah, okay, here's £10 or whatever it is. But is that sort of interaction that you want in the moment while the excitement is there? And so therefore speed of access to the data, speed of access to get your profile and change your preferences and other things like that, so that you get access to these sorts of things on a regular basis is key. And that's what we're all, we've promised to a lot of our customers, the speed, the scalability as these new things come in. You talked about festivals and other things like that. These festivals come in with a big peak of activity at those times, and how do you deal with the peaks or plan for those peaks when they're coming in? Based on history, are you still within a threshold, or do you need a plan about rolling out some more nodes and the things along those lines to get the performance? So getting that performance right is always going to be a key piece. We always want to service requests from our customers writing their applications really, really fast. And so that sort of economy of experience has got to be milliseconds or sub-milliseconds in certain cases to basically get the data back and be able to make good decisions, whether it's from placing a bet or whether, because you're going to, what's the previous form, what's the previous knowledge of a horse and a rider combination, those sorts of things kick in. How do I go and get that sort of information rapidly? Therefore, I'm going to keep choosing Paddy Power to go and place my bets because they give me really good information.
Yeah, I think it's all about that expectation of experience, and we see that across the travel industry, the retail industry, certainly betting and any sort of online social gaming activity driven in over the years by the Ubers and the Facebooks and the Amazons and Googles saying this is what you can have. This is the experience that is possible. It's fast, it's personalized, and it's real time, and it's scalable. So one user gets the same experience as all other 10 million users, and now we as consumers are turning around and expecting that the expectation economy from all of the services we interact with. Be those government, healthcare, gaming, and if we don't get that level of experience, there's someone next to you that's providing it, and we are very easy with one click away to switch to that. Andrea, did you have a comment?
I was about to say, in order to deliver this real-time expectation, or to fulfill these real-time expectations, we actually have seen we had to just go and modify all the existing systems, being them old or legacy systems, to actually unleash the data that they are processing. So produce streams or create streams of data out of every service actually allows us to just tap into these data sources and just create this real-time experience for our customers. So it's been work done both into setting up something new, but also going and looking at the existing systems and just adding these kind of capabilities to emit data out of the service systems, so that we can build and create this real-time experience for our customers.
That's very interesting, talking about re-architecting, re-platforming, offloading your legacy systems that certainly Paddy Power's been around for quite a while. And you must have years and decades of legacy systems. What are some of the strategies that you're using to unleash that data, as you said?
So what we've seen is it's really hard when you're looking at a piece of software that's been written a few years ago or 10 years ago, when you didn't have the load and didn't have the expectations. It's really hard to just go and make that scale. But what's achievable is to actually add this kind of capability to just publish data out of that system, and build a new system that is able to actually be deployed or be elastic into supporting load, as you say, while having these huge spikes of activity. So the new system would actually tap into data emitted by the legacy systems, and this actually allows us to fulfill the customer expectations while keeping some of the old infrastructure.
On, right? Yes. Is it safe to say layers of caches and sources of truth and microservices and APIs just all over the place?
Yeah, I think yeah.
I think you touched a soft spot there.
So okay, here's a good question. How do you decide what to work on? How do you decide what's the most impactful or the next system to add an API on or to scale out?
So we've witnessed. I'm not sure how it was actually strategy or how it actually turned out by itself. But we witnessed this once we've actually built the core of the platform. We've had interest from other teams or other areas of the business, just wanting to add something or tap into what the platform could offer. So we are now into a model where once we have it, it's in like an internal open source where you can say, oh, I want to contribute. I have this data source. I want to add it as a feature of the platform. So it's simply said, is just if you have a data source, we can turn it to a criteria, and that criteria can be used in the platform.
Yeah, and the platform in the end looks like a Lego. So basically everyone could contribute with a small piece, and they can reuse or build something from scratch, which can reuse anything existing from the platform. And anytime a new requirement arrives, we just try to analyze where exactly does this piece fit, so that the entire system could work as expected. And it scales very well from complexity point of view and from feature point of view.
And due to this incredible variation of data sources, we couldn't have actually relied on traditional schema kind of databases, because the variation is just infinite. They never stopped. You'll see some details, but you can bet on whatever the business decides to offer as a bet. So in order to express this kind of variation, we need something flexible in terms of schema or schema-less support.
Yeah, I like this idea of build it and they will come, right? If you create a platform that works and that scales, and you can show even the smallest slice of value out of it, and then you, as you said, make a Lego model that you can gain more and more, and then you get more experience and you get more critical mass and data gravity and all those things. It's a very interesting way of putting it. Are you using Kafka as the primary way of plugging into with different systems all feeding into a single kind of Couchbase layer, and then in the reverse as well? Do you do any bi-directional synchronization?
Well, we use Kafka to listen almost any activity from any other service, and it's critical for us, because otherwise we cannot provide this kind of real-time or how to make sense of data from other systems. So Kafka is one of the critical points for our platform.
Yes, and we derive state out of all those messages, all those events that are passing to the system, and we use Couchbase as the source of truth when it comes to what's your state, what's your progress, what kind of rewards you're having in our platform.
Also, besides being a consumer of streams produced by various products, we also are producing the data generated by customer activity on our platform. And this is where the reporting comes into the is important because the data produced by ourselves is consumed also by our platform to produce reports and generate, aggregate the data, making sense of what exactly is how efficient a promotion is, or making sense of data produced by our platform. So.
Any machine learning, any AI at work there?
That's next on the. Yeah, we hope we have. Yes. We've seen this need that. So once we've actually sorted out the delivery and segmentation and eligibility problem, if the business desires or requires more elaborate targeting, and we have the capability, and we are working now to actually hook other more specialized platforms that could provide segmentation based on some AI or some ML models. So we've seen the need to actually hook the platform.
One example of hook is the live chat support, where customers are being handled by some bot which interacts with our system to provide details about bonuses they have, or targeting, or saying what exactly to do next, so that they can benefit.
If you phone us and you want a free bet, the bot will tell us, but you already got two, Why don't you just go and use this?
So in the future, it maybe will be a bot who will award you a free bet.
Right.
If you have one, yeah.
So real time, personalized, and at scale. What's the hardest one? Just throw it out there.
I think both of them. Each of them had its own. Three of them, yeah. The performance was the performance-wise was one of the challenge we struggled with. We had some issues in the past, but we learned from our mistakes and evolved the platform so that we can answer better the business requirements of being real time and answering the customer's expectation of real time.
And I think the difficult problem is personalization, because if you get very, as you said, if you get very specific offer for a single customer, it's actually really hard to do this kind of granularity and keeping it real time, because it starts to be a trade-off, So this is still actually something that we are struggling with, to keep a good level of service. Like if I create an offer, it instantly pops up into your account, but still ensure good performance for all the customers actually engaged in the platform.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we've always sort of helped out with customers such as Paddy Power is that scalability. If we can take the scalability and the ease of access to the data off their hands, so they don't have to worry about that, then they can start working a lot more on that personalization and the other pieces which are important to them. If we can take, ease of being able to get data in and be able to manipulate and look at that data on a continuous basis, be able to give them the speed of access to that data so that they can put a big chunky request in there for information and still get it back in really, really fast times, and then deal with the peaks and troughs of activity inside the organization. Our big thing is, if I can take that away from them, then they can focus on the things that are really important for them, and that's what we find in a lot of our customers.
It's another form of workload shift, rather than you guys having to manage sharding and caching and database management and replication and all of that you used to have to deal with. Taking that away from reliably allows you to focus on personalization, which now can be the hardest thing for you to actually focus on, which is your core business. What you are, your core competency is dealing with that application and the data in the way that will mean the most to your internal and external consumers.
That's true, and we've seen, as you mentioned, we've seen these great features, being able to replicate data between two data centers, and it's performing really well, and we rely heavily on these kind of features.
And obviously our platform, we've made it really, for the people coming from that relational world, the whole SQL approach to doing things, the way we've written our query language, our nickel as we call it, which is our SQL-like, makes it really easy for organizations to transfer their skill set straight into using what is in essence a new technology, but still with the same old ways of doing things. So again, making it really easy to adopt and easy to rely on is one of the key things that we've been focusing on with customers like Paddy Power.
Great, really guys, thank you all so much. As we start to wrap up, if anybody of you online has any questions, please feel free to send them over, and I'll try to put them to our panel with the time remaining. We've covered a whole range of topics, everything from your business value to containerization. What's next on your plate over at Paddy Power?
I think onboarding different companies brands from the group, because we are a company which has not only two brands, Paddy Power and BetFair, but also others. So we expect to extend the platform so that other brands are onboarded as well.
And we definitely want, or we see this actually coming up right next, is to actually reach a stage where everything is connected, so all our systems can if they wish to actually use the platform. So being payment systems, account systems, products such as sports and gaming, so that we can actually assist the user while navigating our ecosystem of products and features. So this keeps coming on, and we'll soon reach a stage where you can, no matter what you're working on, you can actually produce a data stream that can be used by the platform, or have your component interacting somehow with the platform. So this will finish, and also having this more evolved AI-based or AI relying on some sort of modeling for actually more detailed or more specialized personalization, because this is something that could actually be very powerful.
Not only personalization, it might be that in the future some sort of AI would help us to create content. Why not? So given you don't know about some event, for instance, a Champions League final, you know it's coming, let the bot decide how to create a promo so that creates content targeting some sort of customers who are interested in this event.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Any big technology trends, major disruptions you expect that are going to change the way you're doing things?
I think we're on the right track right now.
keeping an eye
on what's happening inside. Yeah, so containerization, cloud, maybe deploying, scaling, elastic scale for dealing with events such as popular sport events when the traffic surges. So how to deal with this kind of problems. Yeah.
Great. And Chris, what's next on the Couchbase horizon?
Well, obviously we're going to be launching our next release at the beginning of end of this year, beginning of next year. We're in beta mode at the moment, so there's some new features and functionality that we're coming out with. But equally, with the amount of organizations, you got the transaction support, ACID transaction capability. We've also got, in essence, these guys most of their customers are running on mobile devices as well. So. And we've done a lot of enhancing of our application to basically be closer to the mobile, and in fact actually embedded in the mobile device as well. So again, more conversations I'm sure will be happening as certain new features and functions evolve about how do you get the experience closer to people so that there's, even getting to the point of like minimizing the downloads of activity. So, you're focusing on the actual bet activity more so than you're focusing on downloading the experience around it. And those sorts of things. So being able to push certain aspects around it with our Couchbase Lite sync gateway sort of capabilities. These are things that we're seeing a lot of customers getting very excited about. Getting your database on the mobile device, very cool stuff.
Great, very, very, very exciting. Okay, well I think that's about us for time. I thank you all very much for this interesting conversation. I enjoyed it very much. I hope you did as well. Alex and Andrea from Paddy Power are going to be presenting today at 1 p.m. In the Customer Experience Theater, going into a bit more technical detail about the promotional platform that they've built. I really encourage everyone to attend that. They'll also be hanging out around the Couchbase booth here at Big Data London. We're over at number 139 over in the West Hall near the Self-Service Analytics Theater. Finally, just as we wrap up, you can always catch more coverage from Bright Talk at Big Data London, going to www.brighttalk.com. Certainly learn more about Couchbase at couchbase.com, emailing us at info@couchbase or tweeting at Couchbase. Thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and that's me signing off from Big Data London.